welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm coming here today because I have something that I want to talk about. But I thought, why not put some makeup on whilst I do that as well. Okay. So, recently I have started to kind of unmask myself at work in my corporate job. And that has felt really dysregulating to my nervous system as one of very, very few Black women within my faculty. So I work in a very large institution, and so within my faculty office, I am one of maybe 2, potentially 3, but again, very rarely are we all in the space at the same time. So yeah, that feels like it comes with a lot of high visibility, right? If you know Black women, and I'd like to think that you do, you know that we have a very unique sense of style. You know, we set trends. We're not afraid to try different things. We're not afraid to wear bright colors. We're not afraid of makeup. Like, we express ourselves through our fashion choices, our hair, our makeup. And from one week to the next, we could be expressing a completely different vibe depending on how we feel. At least I know that's how it is for me and a lot of my friends, right? And I have always loved that about us. Always. However, I've always been in predominantly white spaces, and I've known that switching it up often comes with a lot of attention, unwanted, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of people trying to figure you out, you know? Like, oh, is that a weave? Is that a wig? Are those extensions? Is that your real hair? You know, all of that. So after years and years of being in that type of dynamic, you know, in different workspaces, friendship groups, where I was always kind of token, and even when I was singing and doing a job that, you know, creativity is often celebrated, I always found the people around me would scrutinize or judge my ability or my desire to switch things up. You know, it's very much a, you don't look like that without all your makeup on. And I used to really feel super insecure about it until I realized that how I look without my makeup and how I look with my makeup, whilst being two separate things I love. Like, I love my features regardless of if I have makeup on or not, you know? But what makeup does, what hair does, is it allows you to express yourself. I'm an artistic person. I value aesthetics. I like things that look good. I like feeling good. I like expressing myself and showing my personality through makeup, through hair. And as I say, it could be completely different one week to the next. So right now, I've got my braids in, you know. We're going for a bit of a boho vibe. You know, I'm in my spiritual element right now. I feel like I'm protecting my energy on the daily. I'm needing to protect my energy daily. And this vibe really supports that. I don't know what it is, but you know, people view you how they want to view you. And that happens anyway as a Black woman. You know, your aesthetic can make people completely judge you without even knowing you. And I kind of use that to my advantage. I think, you know what? If you're going to judge me regardless, then I might as well do what I want to do. I might as well pull off the vibe, the look that I want to put off, you know? If you're going to find me intimidating anyway, then I might as well not worry about trying to make myself look approachable, look innocent, or whatever other thing that people want you to be or try to say that you are. I have people place ideas and expectations on me all the time. It's the cognitive dissonance. And when they then see me do things, achieve things in a way that they never imagined I would be able to, it's like shocking to them. And you know, this used to make me feel really insecure for a time. I wondered, am I being fake? Am I not being who I am? Why is it people are like shocked by my capabilities, my expertise, my intellect, my motivation, my professionalism? Like, why are these people so shocked when they see me deliver? What is that? Is that about me, how I dress, how I come across, how I speak, how I engage? You know, and I really used to take that to heart. And I used to think, well, I've got to be more like this. I've got to do that, and I've got to be more like this because they need to know who I really am. And then I realized people are seeing what they want to see. They're creating the character that they want to create. It has, or rarely has, anything to do with me and how I come across. Like, very rarely is that even about me. But for a long time, I didn't realize that. For a long time, you know, due to my own experiences with trauma and childhood and life in general, you know, I thought I gave out this specific kind of energy that said, help me, please, you know, that said, I didn't know who I was, that said, I didn't value myself. And for a long time, I did give out that energy, for sure. But I think, whilst I gave out that energy, I've also very much remained consistent in who I am and what I expect and what my boundaries are. And I think having spoken to people from my past, whilst I've, you know, gone through this immense growth and change, I feel like I've also learned that I've always kind of been seen in the way that I'm being seen now. You know, being in a leadership position, being in what people might consider to be, you know, a high status career. You know, I often say unexpectedly, but it's so funny how so many people are like, not unexpectedly at all. We always knew that you would, you know, end up doing something like this because you've always had that within you. You've always had those capabilities. You've always been a leader. You've always articulated yourself in an appropriate manner. You've always had integrity. And so it's really funny to me because it's so funny how you can see yourself sometimes, especially when you're healing, especially when you have experienced things, versus how other people see you. But also how sometimes people can see the strength in you, they can see the capability, they can see the potential. But because they want to keep you where you are, they don't want you to surpass them. Sometimes they won't even tell you that they see that, you know? All right? And then eventually you see it yourself. Eventually you see it yourself. And you start to think, oh, I've changed so much. But really you haven't. It's always been there. You just didn't believe in yourself. You didn't have the words to articulate who you were. Maybe you weren't always acting in your power. Maybe you were, you know, letting life, people around you, external factors, maybe you were letting them define you and you weren't defining yourself. You know, maybe you're being influenced. So I guess this very unpolished first video is just a message to those people who are currently in that space of life where they feel like they're being defined by others, or they're dimming themselves so as not to be defined by others. What I want to say to you is people are going to try and put you in a box and define you anyway. So you might as well be who you want to be. You might as well do what you want to do. Be bold. Do the things that make you feel good. Wear makeup if that's what you enjoy. Don't wear it if you don't enjoy it. Wear your hair in braids in your corporate office job where you are a token Black woman. If you're going to be different, if you are different just by default, because of the way this society is set up, then lean fully into that. Our difference is our strength. It is our power. And I haven't always recognized that. You know, it's taken me a long time, as I say, a long, long time, having always been around white people and always being the token person in those scenarios. It's taken me a long time. And when I say a long time, I mean a long time. I mean, I still have challenges. Some days it's a challenge to be seen. I still feel, some days, I still feel like I should shrink myself. I still feel like I should fit in. I still feel like, don't wear your hair that way. I still feel like your hair was different yesterday. Someone's going to comment on it. Don't change it, even if you're in the mood for a change. You know, that's how I've been living for such a long time. And none of it is who I am. And so I'm really coming back to myself now. I'm really enjoying that process as well. And I have reason to do it. You know, I work in a profession, I work in a field where it has historically predominantly been white women, and that's changing. And I'm in a visible position. I'm in a leadership position, and I have young, not just Black girls, but young people in general. You know, young people don't always, they don't always stick to those rules, you know, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't wear your hair like that, you can't want to look pretty, you don't want to draw attention to yourself, you know, even young white girls, like, you know, they like to express themselves, they like to change their hair colors and wear their long nails. You know, this is not a specifically Black thing anymore. And so for me, you know, I see that. I see these young people from all different walks of life, and I see how they want to be themselves, and we constantly push this idea of professionalism onto them, and specifically and more harshly the young Black girls, as if there is some specific framework that we should be following about how we should look as professionals, when really, in my role, the way I have looked or have styled myself or have dressed myself over time before I started really masking and trying to fit into these spaces, like, it was always something that drew connection from clients, drew kind of curiosity, you know, always. It's never been something that a client, a patient has ever looked at and thought, oh, you know, if anything, it has supported interaction, it's supported communication, it's made them feel comfortable, it's made them feel like, oh, this is a human being, this is somebody who has their own personality, their own style, their own way of being, you know, and that's a positive thing. When you're working with people, you want them to feel like you're a human being, just like they are, and you see them, and you are there to help them, and you don't have to be anything specific in order to do that. You know, there's no cookie cutter way that we need to look as therapists. And yet, through our schooling, through our education, etc., that is exactly what is pushed, that there is a specific way that we need to look in order to fulfill our roles. And in my role now, where I get to, inspire, teach, and build the next generation of therapists in my field, I'm enjoying being the literal embodiment of that is not true. Be who you are. It's no reflection on your intellect. It's no reflection on who you are as a person, right? You can have braids, have red lips on, have makeup on your face, and still be a damn good therapist or whatever it is that you work in, right? People are so quick to judge others, for how they look externally. So quick. But really, that's just because they have insecurities. It's easier to police other people than to admit that you're not happy with yourself. It's easier to demonize others than to admit that you're not happy with yourself.